Hi, hello, welcome, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin. It's March 1st, and my background settings look a little different. I am staying with my mom's for reasons, so I'll be here for a while. Anyway, I have the start of a new reading vlog for March. This month I asked Nat over at Nerdy Nat Reads to pick my TBR, and I am back to creating my own prompts because some prompts came to me, and so I'm back on my control. So one, go check out Nat's channel. I love her. I love her content. She does like these 5x5s where she like has a theme. She picks like 5 books from the theme to see if she'll like them. I'm hoping that one day she will like all 5 of these books. Her reading vlogs are fun. So definitely go check that out. And 2, let's get into what she chose for me, what I'm reading this month, and then we'll talk about my other reading plans, if there are other reading plans. Let's just watch.
Hey Robin, so first off, thank you so much for thinking of me to pick your TBR for this month. I am so excited. I really enjoyed the prompts you gave me also because I spent quite a lot of time working through your TBR, and it was very difficult to settle on one book for every prompt, but I finally managed to do it. Some of these you're probably not going to be surprised by. So the first prompt you had given me was a title that caught my attention, and I had to go with A Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. I remember hearing this title for the first time and automatically was like, excuse me, what is this about? My intrigue has never gone down, although I still have yet to read this myself. However, if you enjoy it, I'm definitely going to be prioritizing it a little bit sooner. Next was a book by an author I really liked. This one was really difficult because you had many books on your TBR that I definitely love those authors, but I had ulterior motives with picking The Radium Girls by Kate Moore for you because I bought it for you, and this way I can kind of force you to read it. Though I definitely think you're gonna enjoy it. This was a wild read. Who would have thought just trying to get your paintbrush to a solid point would end up impacting these women's lives so much? But Kate Moore has become one of those authors that if she comes out with a new book, I'm definitely gonna be checking it out, so I had to go with her. Next was one that I had a lot of fun with because it was a book I had no interest in reading, and for that one I went back and forth on a few but ended up deciding on Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. I believe this is the book you're on for Throne of Glass. I know you've been reading this series, and this is the book where I actually DNF'd the series, so I'm really intrigued to see how you feel about it. And then finally, you were so kind and let me pick any book in the entire world. When I saw this on your TBR, I knew I had to make you read it, even though every time I've recommended it to somebody, they've ended up not enjoying it as much as I do. But I'm gonna do it anyway. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. Girl, I know you have heard me rant and rave about this book constantly, but I really hope you love it. I really hope you love it. I really do. Slow-moving fantasy, gorgeous writing, very atmospheric, and the enemies to lovers is absolutely adorable. Plus, you get this fun, like, enemies to best friend also. Part of me wants to say you have to send me your thoughts as you're reading, but the other part of me is very scared that you're gonna not like this book, and I will regret making that choice. Anyway, I hope you enjoy all of these books across the board though, and thank you so much again for letting me pick your TBR.
Okay. So this is fun. So Nat loves We Hunt the Flame, and she is the reason why I picked up the first book. She's actually the only reason I picked up that first book because she loves it so much. So I'm just like, of course, I'm gonna love it too. But I guess we'll see, since it doesn't seem that the people she recommends it to love it. Maybe I'll be the one. Also, very surprised by having 2 nonfiction books on my TBR this month, which is great because I think I'm a little behind on reading nonfiction. Maybe? I don't know anymore. I don't know what's been happening with my reading over the last 2 months. And then Queen of Shadows. So I have the entire Throne of Glass series, and I enjoyed the first 3 books. I made Ray and Dasha read the first one. They're not fans, to say the least, but I had a good time. Now, is this like the best literature that I've ever come across? No, but is it a fun, just I don't have to put a whole lot of brain cells into it kind of time. Absolutely. And that's actually perfect in what I need right now in my life. I've got a lot happening and I just need some easy things. So I'm actually really excited for these reads. So that's my set TBR that Nat has picked for me. I'm really, really excited about it. And then I have some other reading plans. I am buddy reading The Final Strife with Ray this month. We have been buddy reading a book together every month. I want to say since January, but it may have gone back further. I feel like we're always doing a buddy read. So last month we read Blackmail and Babinka. Such a good time. And so here we are with Final Strife. I'm a little nervous about it because I've heard such mixed things. So and it's chunky. She's thick. So we shall see. And then I also wanted to pick up When the Coffee Gets Cold because I meant to read it last month and then shit happened and so I put it off because I just didn't want to read anything. So I'm gonna pick that up this month as well. And those are my reading plans for the month. I think that's like 6 books, 4, 2, yep, 6 books. And I think that's like enough for me for right now. Obviously I might read more or less depending on what happens. Basically, I may or may not be moving. It's weird. It's a weird time. Those are my plans. And so I am excited and I'm gonna go to my apartment, get those books, some other things, and start reading. We're in my apartment that is unorganized and a little chaotic. But we are here to pick up those books that Nat made for me to read and maybe a couple of more so that I have some other things. I already have The Final Strife at my mom's house. I thought it was here, but it's at my mom's. I will be buddy reading that with Ray. And so let's get my other books. Hello. It's time for an update in my car. Do I look like trash today? Yes, but that's because I'm going to my apartment to do some work and Oh, pack. Silly me, what am I going to do over there? Because I just found out that I got the house that I applied for, so I'll be moving in soon. But enough of a life update. Let's do a book update. So I started off reading The Final Strife. I'm at like page 130 something, and I don't think I'm having a good time. There's this place, I don't even know the name of this fictitious land that they're in, but there are three levels of people. There are embers, their blood bleeds red, and they are the highest ranking members of this society because they have the ability to blood work, which I understand that blood work is, the ability to use magic for causes, but I'm not like, I don't know the extent to how important it is for this society. Like, at least not yet. Ghostings are people who have clear blood, and they are, because of a rebellion that happened like 400 years prior, the penance for that is that every ghosting child that is born, all of their limbs are removed, their tongues are cut out. It is kind of gruesome. You don't see it, but like the idea of it, it's barbaric. And they are used as slaves in this society. And then there are dustings. They're the middle. They bleed blue. They are also like menial servants. I don't know the distinction really between dusters and ghostings, except for their blood color, and that the dustings had the rebellion, which they are still paying for to this day. There is this girl, Scylla. She's a drug addict. All she does is the drugs every day, all day. And she is she's a dusting, or she was raised as a dusting. From childbirth, she was switched. She's actually an ember who was stolen from the ember nursery and switched at birth with a dusting, someone who bleeds blue. And so she knows this. The person she was switched with knows this. And one day, Scylla's just going through life, trying to figure out what it is that she's not even trying to figure it out. She's just high all the time. Seriously, in the first 100 pages, she's just high all the time. And so she has no like real point, but her true mission was to be someone that would infiltrate the system, that would compete in this tournament that they have every 10 years, so that she could gain access, so that she would have the blood of an ember, but she would have the heart of a dusting, or the people, and she would fight for like their justice, right? Scylla forgets this mission because things have happened to her, and she's like, I don't even care about this anymore. And then something happens where she's like, I care again. And her friend, I guess they're best friends, Hassa, she is a ghosting, and she's really just trying to save Scylla at every turn. She's trying to get Scylla clean and just save Scylla from Scylla. And then you have Anor that we just met. She is an ember, and her mother is one of the heads. She's a warden in this place. She's the warden of strength, and every 10 years they compete to see like who's going to be the next warden or something like that. I don't know. I'm not totally invested in this. I really wanted to love it. I wanted to give it my all and just be fully immersed in this, but it's kind of boring. I don't like any of the characters except for Hassa, who just pops in and out every once in a while. And I feel like there's about to be a romance between two characters, and I can already tell you, I don't care. I do not care. So then I switched to listening to Sex Cult Nun. I am almost 50% into that, and wow. This is Faith Jones, her memoir about growing up in, I wish I could remember the name of this church, but basically this church believes that Jesus Christ benefits from our sexual doings. And so, you know, they have this thing where the women go out to recruit members and claim souls for Christ by flirting with them. Flirty fishing, that's what it's called. And so what they do by flirty fishing is they meet men or women and they like flirt with them to win them over for Christ. And normally these people are people that are beneficial, that'll help them in their cause, get new followers for their religion, or people that have money and influence. So Faith is growing up in this kind of environment where it's just like free sex love all the time. And what's really weird, there is child abuse that's happening in here, and I don't think she recognizes it as such. And it's weird to me because I can't figure out where this is going. Like, I can't figure out if at the end of this she's going to condemn everything that happened to her and like, this was such a terrible thing that happened to me and the other children that we lived with, or if she's just like, this is a thing that happened to me. Because as I'm reading it, she's writing it as like, oh, this was the day, this is what happened. I was giving hand hugs and mouth hugs. I saw my mom give my dad a mouth hug, if you know what I mean. And no, she saw her mom give her dad a hand hug. And her mom was like, yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you pleasure people, and this is what God made you for. I'm at the part where they have just now said they've lowered the age of consent for people to have sex with each other. So I think previously it was like 15, because at 15 women can start having children. Now the boys were already having sex. They were allowed to have sex with like older women when they were like 8 and 9. In fact, they encouraged it. But the girls, they were like, no, 12 maybe, 15 for sure. So Faith is at the age where she can start having sex with, they're encouraging her to have sex with the other teen boys in their community. And they're also trying to lay low because reporters are after them. They're trying to find like the leader of this church. It's a wild time. It's a lot's happening and none of it good. And I'm very curious to see where it's going. Also, every time I think that I have been shocked, I get out shocked. And I'm just, wow. Just wow. This is going to be a really interesting month. Now, especially now that I will be packing for my life and trying to get out of there in the next, what's today? The 6th? I've got like 20 something days to get up and get out of there. So wish me luck for my packing and for my book reading. It's a work day. For a couple of hours, and I finally have some downtime where I'm not like with my coworkers and stuff. Let's talk about some books, right? Because that's what we're here for. So good news. I finally finished a book. Finally. It is the middle of March. It's the middle of March and I finally finished a book. I finished Sex Cult 9. It never stopped being shocking, that's for sure. I have a few thoughts about it. One, while the events in her life are very shocking and just so horrible at times and a lot, I think the writing took away from some of the shockingness of it. Like, the writing was just very mediocre. She's she's not a natural storyteller, and so every time like she would say something, it would be like this very insane, intense thing that was happening in her life, and then she would switch to talking about these mundane details of her life. And I think because she would talk about these mundane daily things that were happening to her, it dampened the impact of the super outrageous things that were happening to her as well. So it was like, I saw mommy giving dad a hand hug, and then she goes on to talk about how she was taking care of the animals and all the animals on the farm, and how much she loved the animals, and how her friends played with the animals. And it was just like, we're not gonna circle back to that thing that just happened. You're not gonna talk about the impact that that possibly had on you. Not necessarily then, because you probably thought it was normal, but like now, there are moments where something happens to her and she feels like, I just didn't feel good about it. I felt weird about it. And like she just chalks it up to being a bad disciple, or not having enough discipline, or not loving God enough. Well, no, she always loved God. And then like later on, she unpacks that, you know, what happened to me was abuse. I experienced being raped, and even then, in her like recognition of these things, she just says it so breezily and passes it on, that, and just moves on to like, and then I became a lawyer, and you know, I talked to my family about how I felt about these things, and you know, we were working through it. And it's like, is there more? She was coming to terms and grips with what happened to her and the abuse that other people in the cult sustained. But like, then she just talked about it so blandly and nonchalantly. It was like, do you feel this way, or do you think you're supposed to feel this way? And I just thought it was interesting that it was always the women that were called upon to be the disciplers in this religion, that it was always the women who had to concede their autonomy, because if you didn't want to have sex with somebody, then you were seen as like a bad disciple, that you didn't want to share God's love with other people. And she talks about like how she didn't really want to be with certain people, even though the leaders pushed her to be with certain people, or were like, well, you should sleep with that person because he really needs it, or he wants it. Or even just like, I wish you would have talked about the impact of trusting adults who ended up turning around and doing her so dirty and just not protecting her, including her parents. She talks about like some of the stuff that she went through with her parents, but like she doesn't really touch on it a whole lot. The end seemed a little bit rushed. It's just like, yeah, I went to Georgetown and became a lawyer. You can do it too. So that was Sex Cult Nun. I don't really rate memoirs. It's somebody's story, so that's that. And then on to Queen of Shadows. So I started this. This is the funny thing about Queen of Shadows. I read Air Fire. I think that's the third one. I read Air Fire 2 years ago. And unlike a lot of people, I am not a rereader. There are very, very rare instances where I will reread something. So a lot of people would have been like, I don't really remember what happened in book 3, so let me go reread that and before I jump into the next book. Not me. I'm not doing that. So I'm starting this and I'm reading it and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so lost because I don't remember what happened. So it's fun for me. I'm just making shit up. I am just guessing at why people are acting the way they're acting. Like, I remember some things, like the main plot points, right? But some of these little things, I don't remember shit. If you have not read any of the books up to now, this is all spoilers because there's no way I can talk about this without it being spoilery. It's the 4th book in this series, smack in the middle. Like, I know that Adian is her cousin. Adian is the guy he's a general, but he's also Aylin's cousin. And for the life of me, I could not remember how he ended up being imprisoned, what their relationship was like. So, of course, I went to the Throne of Glass wiki so that I could just get some information, but not a whole lot. So yeah, I'm about halfway into this right now. Yeah, I'm about halfway into this. And Do I have thoughts? I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. This is not something that's super thought-provoking. I'm having a good time reading it. I will say that Kale is still frustrating. I don't like him. I don't think I'm ever going to like him. And I especially don't like him because he's being such a dick to this one girl, Nazreen, who he's been like hooking up with occasionally and like saying really mean things to her. And then he's immediately like, I feel bad that I said that. And then he proceeds to say something else that's just as priggish. How about you just not? I don't know. Novel idea. And they always happen after he has like incidents with Aelin. And I just am like, you don't know how to control your own emotions? Shocker. My one complaint is that we keep getting introduced to new people. And I am at the point where I'm just like, I need all these different like plot points and like storylines to start converging. Manon, the witch. Like, what's your overall purpose? Like, I know that she's working with like that Duke dude. Caltaine is there. What's going on with her? I'm getting introduced to new people and I'm like, why should I care about you? Are you gonna last for the next 3 books? Like, now do I have to remember who you are too and what your whole purpose is? Like, let's start connecting these dots. Yeah. What is the overall purpose of the King of Adarlan and his whole ploy? Like, you're already the king. And now you're trying to bring these Valg demons into this realm. And for what? What's the purpose? I don't know. Are we ever gonna know? Also, super tired. Rowan is back in the picture. Rowan is the Fae male that Aelin is with now. They have a whole blood oath. I had to look that up because I was like, why is this so important? Because Aiden is being a big old bitch baby about it and crying about not getting the blood oath, so I had to go figure out why that was so important. But Rowan has it, and he just came back into the picture because he was supposed to be gone away. And now Aiden and Rowan are having this pissing contest over who's the better protector for Aelin. I just want to be like, why don't you guys just both protect her? So that's where we are. I still have to read Radium Girls and We Hunt the Flame. I gave up momentarily on the final strife. I'm gonna continue it back when I have the audiobook. I had on hold for my library. That's the update for now. Good morning. Hello, it's Saturday morning. I am getting ready to go on my way to my apartment so I can pack up my kitchen and like some last miscellaneous things that I've got going around. And I think that'll be like my last time that I need to go over there to pack. I think I only have like 60 pages of, I was gonna say Throne of Glass series, but Queen of Shadows left. But I want to read that with my eyes because I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. Just the gang's all here and I just want to know where this is heading. The team has done some big damage in this book and what's gonna happen next? Because I know someone is gonna betray the group. I just know it. I just know that there's gonna be some big bad evil thing that's just gonna pop right up while we think everything is real cool. We got 50 pages left, okay? You know, something is gonna happen. So I'm gonna read that with my eyes and then I'll probably finish that tonight. But while I am packing, I think I'm going to start reading Radium Girls or start listening to Radium Girls. I'm excited for that one because it's another nonfiction. 2 nonfictions in a month. Thank you, Nat. I know that it's about the girls at the watch company who were like using a paintbrush so that they could like get a straight line and there was radium on the brush. I don't know why there was radium on the brush. And of course it was like the early 1900s, so nobody knew the evils and the harmfulness of the chemical. So they were just licking on it like a lollipop. Yeah, no, that's really all of my plans. I think that's enough of a plan for today, you know what I mean? I will check in later. I do not want to pack. I have no motivation to do so. I mean, I do have a motivation because I need to move out, but like right now in this moment, I don't want to. I want to lay right here on this bench. My mom's doing a fantastic job though. Kitchen basically packed. Me, I just keep shuffling from room to room with like things in my hand to make it look like I'm doing things. I'm so tired. Anywho, that's my confession. I had to tell somebody. Thank you for your time. So, wow, I look crazy. But packing has finished for the day. I'm gonna take some things over to the house. Blair, I don't know if you can see him. He's also coming to the house for the first time. He's very excited. So this should be fun to see. He's excited my mom's coming. Is it satisfactory? yesterday that I was filming, but while I was packing and stuff, my battery died and I wasn't going to put a new battery in. And then I got home and I thought I was going to read some more of Queen of Shadows. I thought I was going to finish Queen of Shadows, but I didn't because I was so tired. My brain literally was like, no words, no more words for the day. I did get to like 25% in Radium Girls, and wow, it is so interesting. There's got to be like another word for I enjoy this thing that is particularly traumatic for a lot of people, and just terrible. But I'm having a good time with Radium Girls. You start off with a group of girls who are working at the, I don't know, clock company. I don't know what it's called. And they have to paint on these glow in the dark numbers on these watches. And so they're using these paintbrushes that are dipped in radium, some kind of radium type product. And at the time, radium is all the rage. People are putting it in like health solutions. Basically, radium is the greens powder of that time. And so people are flocking and putting it into like medicines, teas, foods, everything, anything they can think of. So the women at these factories are using radium. They're covered in the powder. They have it in their mouth because they're using paintbrushes, and they're dipping those paintbrushes, like they're putting it in their mouth to like get it to a precise point. Nobody's thinking that radium is terrible because it's the magic cure, right? While they're working at these factories, nothing is happening because radium doesn't affect people immediately. It takes some time. And then as time develops, some of the women have left the factory, some are still working at the factory, but all of them get sick in some way, shape, or form. Some of them start to develop ulcers, their teeth start to deteriorate and rot, their jaws, their bones. It's obviously gotten into their bloodstream. It's a lot. And the radium company, the watch companies are like, it's not our product. It is clearly you living a promiscuous life or getting involved in something else or some other type of ailment. And at the time, the radium poisoning is not one of the things that people are saying like is a workers issue. So they can't get compensated for any type of like health care or surgeries, doctor's visits, anything that costs they've had to incur because of this radium poisoning. The watch companies are just such dicks about it. Like, why? I mean, I know why, because profit and capitalism, but still, you guys are such jerks. And it's all these women that are being impacted by it. And it's really not until like some of the cases start to be seen and like there's like some coincidence, some workplace coincidences, but mostly things are not taken seriously until the men who have been working with radium in various other aspects also start to have ailments. But yeah, I'm having a good time. It's very interesting. The writing keeps you like captivated. It like gives you the history and the like technical aspects of a nonfiction while still bringing in the human factor with each person that they talk about and like who they were prior to working at the clock factory or while they were working at the clock factory, what kind of happened to them, who they became, how it affected their family. And then, as you saw, I just finished Queen of Shadows. Good time. It was a good time. It was what my brain needed right now, and I liked the ending of this a lot. So much happened. There was so much action in the very end, but it was like great because everything was leading up to this moment. I love all of the women in this book, like, minus Aelin. She's kind of my least favorite main character, but she's not the worst. She's not the worst. There have been worse, but she's definitely not a favorite character in this series. But like Manon, even a lead, I wasn't sure if I was going to care for this little scrawny girl who seemed insignificant, but I care for her a little bit. Lysandra, she's a real one. Caltaine, also a real one. And the ending of this was just so phenomenal. All the little pieces that I had been talking about had finally come together. They finally, like, all of those things where I was just like, well, why does this person exist? Why does this person exist? Why do we have all of these characters? Came full circle for me. I was going to say care about. I don't know, that's so strong. That's such a strong thing to say about Kale. I am interested to see where Kale's story goes because something has happened to him, and I know that that is devastating to him, and I just want to know, like, what will happen from here because I know he does not die. There's a whole book just for Kale, a Kale book. That's where we are. I cannot wait to see the aftermath of the destruction that they have caused, the new change that they have created. Basically, there's a war coming, and I'm here for every second of it. I want to see every battle, every piece of bloody, shredded man cut down. It's going to be a fun time. Good morning. I was gonna say a date, but honestly, I don't know what today is. 20th. It's Monday. I'm here at my place, sitting in the kitchen because my furniture is not here yet, but I had to be here because the pest guy was here. Anyway, I am also still here because I've got a meeting in a little bit and it doesn't make sense to go back to my mom's house and then almost miss my meeting because I'm driving or whatever. But anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. I'm still listening to Radium Girls. I listened to a little bit of it this morning, and we're getting to I think we're getting to a turning point where there might be some justice for these women, and I hope that there really is because there's a doctor who is saying all of these cases, even though they're showing up in women in the different ways, like some women have knee problems or back problems, or, just general fatigue. But one thing that is common is that they all have mouth issues because of, them licking the brushes. And so they're all starting to link and stuff. So I really just hope that I was going to say happy ending, but these women are dropping like flies. So I don't know that happy ending is the phrase I'm looking for, but I do hope there is some kind of justice. Obviously, I know that it's 2023, that women or factory workers are no longer dipping brushes in radium for watches. So clearly that changed, but I just want to see how this all comes back. In the meantime, I have my last book. Get this out of the way. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. This is one of Nat's favorite books. She talks about it all the time, and the way that she hypes this book up, she loves it. And so I am nervous because I also want to love it. She chose this for me. And do I give her the updates? I don't know. I feel like maybe I should wait until I'm maybe 25% in, 30. Do I give them to her at all? Do I just surprise her when this vlog comes out? I don't know. I'm going to be 1000% honest, and this is no surprise to anybody. Nobody will be surprised. But I don't know what the fuck this is about. Something says a Prince of Death. Saphira is the hunter. There's a lot of words on the back here, and I would read them, but why? Let's just jump into it blindly and see where this goes. If I have no idea what it's about, then the expectations are going to be low, right? And then that means that if my expectations are low, it's going to be a good time. How bad can it be if the expectations are low? I feel like those are famous last words, and I should not say that. But, we're going to start this. I've got 30 minutes to read before my meeting. I'm gonna read for a little bit and give some first impressions on whatever I read, which is probably not going to be much. Okay, so phone call done, but 2 chapters. We met Zafira, chapter 1. She seems to be, I think she's the hunter. So she is trying to bring back this deer to some people in her town, and on the way she gets on the way in the forest, she meets these guys who are like, the Sultan wants to see you. Now, apparently the Sultan is a bad guy and sends like dangerous people. And so like, if the Sultan summons you, I think like, you're probably thinking it's over for me. And so she's like, nope, not gonna be me. So she takes her horse and this deer and she hightails it into this thing called the R's. I'm not really sure what the R's is, but all I can gather is that it's this pitch black place, and people who go in, unless you are very skilled and spend a lot of time in there, which it seems like Zafira does, end up. So she goes in there, she leads the 2 Sultan summoners into there, and then she comes back and there's like this mysterious woman just hanging out like, hey girl, I know who you are. And I want to be like, who are you? It's something about maybe she's like a cursed child or something. I don't know, but I am interested so far. And then we get to Nasir in chapter 2, and he is an assassin. So if he is looking for you, it's over for you. Like, there's just no getting out of it. If you see him, it's not looking good for you. And so he is on his way to assassinate someone, and he finds him, and you find out that he is the person that he's assassinating is a historian. And you're like, why is the Sultan assassinating historians? I think that they know something. They've got to have a secret, right? Because why would you kill the history makers or history keepers? And so Nasir kills him because that's what he does. That's his job. And then he's also the Sultan's son. So this is confirming more that the Sultan is not a good guy. I don't know where all of this is going. I assume that Zafir and Nasser will meet up and hunt a flame. And that's my prediction. I am so far interested, which is a good sign, right? I am not bored. I was a little bored with chapter 2 in the beginning. But once I found out he was the Sultan's son at the very end of the chapter, now I'm interested. And I really want to know what's happening with Zafira, because who is this mysterious lady that just popped up? Who are you? She was like just there and then she disappeared. I will check back in later. I don't know what this was. I was gonna update you guys, but then the movers were like moving in and I was like, I will not be talking to this camera while these movers are here. So anyway, the movers are out loading things onto the truck. Hopefully we are getting ready to head to the house. But reading update. Still working through Radium Girls. We've gotten up to the point where trials have started so that the girls can tell their stories, so that the US Radium Company can spew their lies and say that there was no problem with the radium, that there's nothing wrong with them, that basically their lifestyles are the reason why they're sick, not their products. And then there's like this other company that's called like a clock company. So they're not getting a whole lot of flack because they're not like a radium company. They make clocks. So the girls there are just like, well, we're not getting sick. And now that company is starting to tell their employees like, oh, they had a problem not because of radium. Radium is fine. It's fantastic. It's a wonder drug. But because there was some other magnesium, phosphorus, something. They're saying that there was something else in the radium that tainted the radium, and that's why the girls are having so many health issues. And I'm just like, this is such bullshit. They're starting to like pay out settlements to the girls, and it's not enough for their medical bills, their previous medical bills, for their future medical bills, just for the cost of living with these, with the illnesses that they have. I'm mad. It makes me mad. Like, I'm having a good time reading this. I'm enjoying it. There has to be a better word for things that you enjoy that make you angry. I started Beyond the Flame. First 2 chapters, I was into it. I think I am at page 60 now. It is not going well for me, and I hate this. I hate it so much. I really want to like this. Like, I have friends in 2 different camps. Like, some enjoyed it, like Nat, of course. And then I think Steph also really liked it. Ray said that she liked it when she read it, but like she can't remember now. So clearly it's not memorable. And then I have another group of friends that are just like, didn't even get past the first page. I'm really struggling. I'm really trying to make it to 25%. I know it's an arbitrary number and it means nothing, but it means something to me. And I want to at least get to 25%. I think that's like 116 pages. So I'm hoping to get to it. I'm hoping something changes in these next few pages to make me really get on board with it, that I'll like it. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue reading, or at least listening to Radium Girls when I get to the house. Maybe start unpacking, if that ever happens. I'm so tired. Hello, welcome. I feel like it's been so long since I've picked up this camera to film anything, to say anything, but whatever. I was moving. I was trying to get a house in order. Is it in order yet? No, but we're on our way. But I felt like I needed to close out this vlog because it's already April. April 3rd to be exact. So let me close this out. This is my too long, I'm not watching all that version, so that you can just get, the snippets, the highlights, exactly. So I asked Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads to choose my TBR for April. The first prompt that I asked Nat to choose for me was a book where the title caught her attention, and she chose Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. I didn't read this, it's a memoir, but did I have an enjoyable time? Yes. It's so weird saying that you enjoyed something where so much trauma and just weird shit happened. I did enjoy this for the most part. In this, Faith Jones is telling about her growing up in the Children of God cult that was started by her grandfather, and what life was like in that cult. Growing up, she didn't think it was a cult, obviously, because she was in it. It was ingrained in her. That's just what she thought life was. And then she got a little older and was like, things seem weird. Even as a child, there were moments where she was just like, things do not seem okay. But basically, this is about a cult who used sex to spread God's love and probably some other things like venereal disease. But they would say, like, they would use women to do flirty fishing, and that would be their way of getting men mostly into their church. And then they also had like children, I think as young as like 12, doing sexual acts with each other on other adults. It was hard to read at times, but not so hard, because she doesn't really dive deep into that aspect of it. Like, she talks about it for sure. She talks about her own experiences with sexual assault from people that she knows, people that she trusts. She talks about things that have happened to other people, but it kind of gets lost because she starts to talk about mundane things in her life, like living on the farm and raising these animals on the farm. And she talks about all of her travels that she's done in the name of spreading the word for this cult. And then later in the book, she really focuses on how she wants to get an education because she just feels like she needs it. She wants to learn. She doesn't want to just be this self-taught person, and she feels like there's so much more to learn. She ends up going to college. Was it an okay time? Yes, it was an okay time. Was it as revolutionary and groundbreaking as I thought it would be in the beginning? No. I feel like she could have focused on more of the, I don't want to say troubling aspects, but I think that she could have shed light on more of those things that the cult was doing, and, you know, kind of shaming them and talking about how wrong it was. She does get to a point where her parents apologize for the way that they raised her and what they put her through, but it seems like she kind of just told her parents, like, it's cool, you know, it was what it was. And that's really how it felt. I'm glad I read it. The next thing I asked her to choose was a book by an author that she really loved. And so she chose Radium Girls by Kate Moore. A very good time that I had with something that was very tragic and traumatic. It is the early 20th century, and there are girls working in these clock factories, and they're making watches that glow in the dark, you know, for our troops, for the boys. They're using radium to help light these things up. At the time, nobody really understands the dangers of radium at this time. They just think it's this miracle thing. People are praising it and saying that it is like this miracle drug. So the girls are in these factories painting on these numbers with radium, and they're doing so by taking a paintbrush, putting the paintbrush in their mouth to get it to a precise point, and then dipping that into the radium. But like, they're not wiping off the radium in between, so the radium is going in their mouth, they're ingesting it, and ultimately the radium makes them sick, like deathly sick. They're dying, they're dropping like flies. And it is heartbreaking to watch these women just go through it, and for the owners of the company to sit back and deny everything that's happening to them because they don't want to pay out. They don't want to give these women the money and the care that they need to either live, although most of them are not going to live because it's radium poisoning. They've got radium poisoning. And just to see like the fight that these women had to go through just to get justice for themselves. And for a lot of the women, it's too late. They're already dead at the hands of the radium poisoning. And so you're just going through, and at first I was like, this is going really slow. Are we going to focus on every single person? I enjoyed seeing all of the women and their stories that they talked about, because like they all had different symptoms. None of the symptoms were always the same. Most of the symptoms that were common amongst the women were like their jaw and having mouth pains or losing teeth or parts of their jawbone. And so that was the commonality between them. At the end, justice was served for these women. Not enough, in my opinion. They weren't listened to. They weren't taken seriously. They were just dismissed. It was angering, but it was very compelling to read. It was so fast to get through. I will definitely be reading more from Kate Moore. And then I asked her to pick a book for me that she has no interest in reading. And so she chose for me Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series. I don't remember if she said this was the book that she quit at or if it was the book before, but she was not here for it. However, I had a great time. I don't remember what I was reading, but like other things were not like clicking in my brain. But Throne of Glass, we had a grand old time. I had not read a book in the Throne of Glass series in like 2 years. And so I had forgotten a lot. And I know you would think like, Robin, did you go back? Did you reread the 3rd book? Absolutely not. I did read some recaps that I could find. It didn't give me all of the information I was looking for, so I just made the rest up. Anything I couldn't find information about, I just used my noggin, my little creativity, and I just made whatever it was up. Now, is it right? I don't know. I don't care. That's none of my business. But did I get through the book and have a great time? I did. I can't tell you a whole lot about this because this is literally smack in the middle of the series. But what I will say is that secrets start to become revealed. Even though it took me a little while to get there, I was still wondering, when are all of the major characters going to come together? And then they did, in a way that I was not expecting. We got some new people in there and I was wondering, should I care about them? And you know what? I ended up caring about them. Look at that. Do I still not like Kale? I don't. I know that he is a favorite for some of you, and I love that for y'all. He's not a favorite for me. I don't care. I don't care about this man. I could take him or leave him. And I don't know whether it's the next book or the book after that's like mostly his book. And I just want to be like, I do not care. Do I need to read that book in order to like fulfill what's going to happen in the series? I think I probably do, but I'm not looking forward to it. But me and Sarah, we had a great time with this one. And then the last book that I asked her to pick for me was any book in the whole world. And she chose We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. So I figured that she would choose this because it's one of her favorite books of all time. She talks about it all the time. And I wanted to love it so bad. I did. I wanted to love it. And I just did not. I ended up DNFing this at like 58% or something. I gave it a good go. I was just trying to make it to the first 25%, and then I was like, I'm gonna keep going because I had it on audio. I at first was reading this with my eyeballs, and then I was not really feeling it, so I thought maybe if I listened to it with my ears, it'll be more my jam, but it was not. I actually continued just listening to it because I needed something to listen to while I was like moving around, unpacking some boxes. And then there just came a point where I was just like, you know what, girl, put it down, let it go. And so in this, we're following two point of views. Zafira, she is the hunter, or really the huntress, and Nasir, who is an assassin. He is the Sultan's son and he's an assassin. I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot tell you a whole lot about what happens because even though I was listening to this, even though I did read some of it with my eyes, it just was not sinking into my brain. Somehow there used to be magic in this place, and they're like the three sisters, I don't know, some sisters. They had magic and now they're gone. I don't know why. I'm sure they probably talked about it. But somehow the Sultan has magic or something. Lord knows. This is such a terrible wrap up because I blame me. I don't blame the book. It's probably a fantastic read. It was not clicking with me at the time. There was so much happening. And I don't know, I just did not care. I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't like any of them. Zafira seemed really flat. She had a love interest and I was just like, girl, we all know that this is not real, so what's happening? And then Nasir was getting on my nerves because he was talking about how much he hated his dad, the Sultan. And I wanted to be like, bro, you can just exit left. And then there was this other guy, Altair, and I don't really remember his purpose at all except to be Nasir's sidekick for reasons. They're on this quest to go to this island in the middle of what's called the R's. And apparently that is where magic can be found. I think they're looking for magic either to bring it back or something. And I think Zafira is able to bring it back. It sounds like an interesting premise. I'm not doing it justice, and that's really on me. But I would say if anything I said about this sounds slightly interesting to you, go ahead, give it a try. It could be your next favorite read. It was not mine, sadly. And then I had read some other things. I don't quite remember how much of these things I talked about in the vlog earlier. It's been days, maybe weeks, I don't know. But I'm gonna give us a little recap here. The first book that I read that was not a part of Nat's TBR was The Final Strife. I don't have it with me. I think it's in a suitcase somewhere, or it's still at my mom's house. I don't know. Could be in one of these boxes that I have yet to unpack. God knows. It could be anywhere. The point is, it's not here, but it is here. So I was buddy reading this with Ray, and I just could not get into it. I did not care. You have this caste system of there are 3 levels. There are red bloods, blue bloods, and clear bloods. And so I think the reds are at the top, or the blue. I know clear blood people are at the bottom. They are the servants, and they are treated like dust and trash in this place. And then there's the metal people, blue. And they're not treated much better than clear-blooded people. And the reds, we're just gonna assume that they're red. Red bloods have like magical abilities, I think. And so obviously they're at the top. They are ranked the highest. At some point there was a rebellion with the clear-blooded people, like hundreds of years ago, and they are still paying for this rebellion by having being maimed, and I think their tongues get cut out. This is a soft enough. I'm hoping that if I listen to it with my ears, I will like it better. That didn't work out for We Hunt the Flame, but I have high hopes for Final Strife, only because Ray and Shoshana talk about it so highly. Ray finished it. She loved it. She loved it so much that she went on to the second book. She had like an arc of it and was like just loving it. And the way she talks about it and things that she says about it just makes me feel like this is my book. This would be for me. And I'm really hoping it is. So there's a wait on Libby for it. So it should be coming in about 3 weeks. And maybe in 3 weeks, my mindset will be different and I will be totally here for it. Other thing that I wanted to read in April was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and I started it. I got a little like halfway into it. It's 4 little vignettes about this coffee shop where you can go back in time, but there are very specific rules, and one of those rules is that you have to come back to the coffee shop. You can only stay for as long as the coffee is warm. As soon as it gets cold, like things that you would not want to happen could happen. Though I've only read 2 stories so far, but I really enjoyed the first story. It was about a woman who wanted to go back in time so that she could have a conversation with her boyfriend. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure where we were going. I was not sure, but by the end I was like, oh, this is cute, I like it. And then the second story was following a person who has early onset Alzheimer's. I thought it would hit me a little bit more, as I have way too much experience with people in my life having dementia and Alzheimer's. And it just did not hit me as hard as I thought it would. It's not reading well for me. It's reading more like this should have been a screenplay and not a book necessarily. Like there's too much written about like how the people are moving, like how they are moving, not like what they're doing or what they're saying, but like how they're moving in the room, what the room looks like, what the setting is like. And so I'm gonna give it, I'm gonna finish it. I only have like 100 or so pages left. And so hopefully it will be a better time for me. If I had to rate it right now at like where I am halfway, I would give it like 3 stars. It's pretty middle of the road. And then the last book that I read in March was a very surprise book. Like it was not on my radar. I had never heard of this book until I was, Ashley over at Bookish Realm was having patron sprints, and she was talking about a book that she was reading called Animal by Kwan, and it sounded so good. And I was like, I'm gonna get on that. And you know what? I did. I finished that in like 3 days. It was an audio, I listened to it on audio, and we're following Animal. He is seeking revenge for, I don't know that it was an attempt on his girl's life, but either way, she got caught up in the crossfire, and was laid out in the hospital. And Animal said, not on my watch. And so he came back to New York and he was wreaking havoc. He was seeking revenge. It was so gruesome, so gory. We had revenge, we had murder, we had drug addicts. My trifecta. I don't know what that says about me, but I was having a great time. I was like listening to it, and I was just, the audiobook, guys. The audiobook was just so cinematic. And like, there were just times I'm just, minding my business, unpacking a box, doing some work, doing whatever. And like, you just hear like these random sound effects and you're just like, whoa, what's happening here? I think I ended up giving this like 4.75. This is my highest rated book of the year, you guys. The year. I don't know where I go from here. Am I going to read the second one? Yes, absolutely. My only criticism of this is that there were just so many characters that it was almost hard to keep track of sometimes, and like who was affiliated with who, what everyone's motives were. And so that was a little hard to follow, but like the main story of Animal just seeking revenge on whoever was involved in getting his girl laid up in that hospital, that was a fantastic story. And then the ending was just like, it was such a good time, guys. But that was my reading. Was this the best vlog I've ever done? No. I don't even know what clips I have at this point because I just know they're all over the place. I'm so sorry. And if you sat through all of this, wow, thank you. But that's all I have for you guys today. Have you read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Did you agree with anything I said? Am I completely wrong about We Hunt the Flame and I Should Try Again? Have you guys read The Final Strife? Should I just let that go? I don't know. I'm so conflicted. But yeah, that's what I got. And I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye.